coming to this resort for almost 50 years. I did not expect this trip to give me a first time, but it did.
There are some Walt Disney World resorts where you look at theming. There are others where you live amongst it. And Disney's Polynesian Village Resort has always been the latter for me. It just wraps you in a warm hug of immersive escape the moment you walk in. And I've been coming here for nearly 50 years, and now there's this new tower here. So I'm going to stay here to see what it changes about this resort for me, and I'm going to show you what it's like so you can decide if it's right for your trip.
This video is sponsored by DVC Rental Store. Later on, I'll show you what a stay like this one actually costs and how renting points changes that map. We entered through the tower's own entrance, and I want to walk you through what that was like because it does not feel like checking in anywhere else at the Polynesian. The lobby is expansive, larger than life. A concierge greeted us right away and wanted to check us in personally. Even though I had set up direct-to-room check-in like I always do, the app hadn't told me our room was ready yet. She checked, and it was. And here's a detail worth knowing before you book. You need a magic band or a key card just to ride the tower elevators.
The tower has its own private entrance, its own concierge, private elevators. From the minute you walk in, it just feels different. Not better than the rest of the Polynesian resort, but just a different relationship to it.
The word I kept landing on was exclusive, and I want to be careful with that word because exclusive can mean special. It can also mean separate. Hold on to that thought. It's going to matter later in this video.
I remember seeing a lot of internet feelings about this tower going up on the lagoon. But what a lot of people didn't know is the original 1966 plans for this resort included a tower like this. It just took them over 50 years to get it built.
When Walt Disney announced the Florida project in 1966, the plans included a whole district of internationally themed resort hotels. After his passing, the Imagineers carried that vision forward into what they called the Vacation Kingdom of the World, with Seven Seas Lagoon at the center and themed resorts arranged around the water. The original concept for the Polynesian included a multi-story tower right along the lagoon, terraced with gardens in the spirit of the great Waikiki resort hotels of that era. It never got built. The longhouses did. So when the Island Tower opened in December of 2024, it wasn't a new idea landing on an old resort. It was a 58-year-old idea finally getting its turn. And the Imagineers reached back to that original vision on purpose. The terraced gardens are here. The natural materials are here. The patterning on the outside of the building is inspired by Polynesian tattoos. Once you know what you're looking at, this building reads less like an addition and more like a completion. Now the room, and this is where that design story stops being history and becomes something you can actually touch. Every room type in this tower is themed to one of the natural elements, earth, water, or sky. Ours was the Deluxe Studio, which is the earth room, and once you know that, everything in here makes sense. The natural fibers, the flora and fauna, and the artwork. It's slightly Moana themed without being cutesy about it. More modern than the rest of the resort with a lighter feel, but clearly speaking the same language. And there were the details I genuinely did not expect. This is the first DVC studio I have ever stayed in that has real plates and real glasses instead of disposable everything. And it has a mini dishwasher. In a studio, I've stayed in a lot of these rooms, and that's genuinely news. If you've never stayed in a DVC villa before, here's what separates a deluxe studio from a regular hotel room. You get a real kitchenette, a sink, a coffee maker, a microwave, a fridge, and in this tower, that real dishware and the dishwasher I just mentioned. It's enough to handle breakfast in the room, snacks, and everything you don't want to pay park prices for. And like every DVC stay, complimentary laundry facilities are available on property, which on a longer trip quietly changes your whole approach to packing. Now, one practical note for families, and this is where Disney's naming gets genuinely confusing. This room is called a deluxe studio. The original DVC studios over the longhouses are also called deluxe studios. Same name, two different rooms in two different buildings. The Deluxe Tower Studio sleeps 4 with no 5th sleeper. The Longhouse Deluxe Studios sleep 5. So if you need that 5th spot, make sure you're booking the longhouses, not the tower. And double check which building your reservation actually says. I'll show you how all the room categories fit together in just a sec. Here's here's the bigger picture, because the Polynesian DVC lineup used to be the simplest at Disney World, and the tower changed that completely. Before the tower, you had two choices here: a deluxe studio in the longhouses or a bungalow over the water. Nothing in between. The tower fills that entire gap. Duo studios sized and priced for 2 people, themed to the sky. Deluxe studios like ours, the Earth Room, sleeping 4. 1-bedroom villas themed to water, sleeping 5, with a full kitchen, 2 bathrooms, and their own washer and dryer. 2-bedroom villas sleeping up to 9, and at the top, 2-bedroom penthouse villas with views out over Seven Seas Lagoon and Magic Kingdom on one side and the golf course on the other. One thing you won't find in the tower is a 3-bedroom grand villa. At this resort, the bungalows are still the top of the line. But for everything in between 2 people and a big family, this resort went from the narrowest set of DVC options near Magic Kingdom to one of the widest in one building. So if the Polynesian was never realistic for your group before because a studio was too small and a bungalow was, let's be honest, a different tax bracket, that math has changed. I booked this stay with my own Disney Vacation Club points, but you don't need to own DVC to stay in this tower. That's where DVC Rental Store comes in. They help guests book Disney Vacation Club villas by renting points from DVC members, usually for significantly less than booking the same room through Disney. I priced out 3 of the tower's room types across different times of year so you can see what that actually looks like. A duo studio with a premium view in late August, $638 a night through Disney, $528 through DVC Rental Store. A deluxe studio with a theme park view, the same category we stayed in late October, $1,297 through Disney, $682 through DVC Rental Store. That's nearly half. And a 1-bedroom villa with a resort view in mid-December, $1,677 through Disney, $836 through DVC Rental Store. Pricing changes constantly, so always check your specific dates, but notice the pattern. The bigger the room, the harder renting points works for you. And those bigger rooms are exactly what this tower added to the Polynesian. They also offer payment plans and a cashback cancellation policy, which matters when you're spending this kind of money on a trip. And full transparency, I'm an affiliate partner, so if you book through my link, I may earn a small commission at no additional cost to you. My own DVC contract came from DVC Resale Market, part of the same keyholder family, and that experience is part of why this partnership made sense to me. The bigger point is, if you've looked at the Polynesian and assumed it was out of reach, especially now that there are room types here that never existed before, renting points is worth understanding. The link is in the description. That first night, we didn't go anywhere. We'd had an early dinner downstairs at Wailulu, and later in the evening, we grabbed a flatbread from Captain Cook's, brought it back to the room, and watched Happily Ever After from our own balcony. No reservation, no crowd, no staking out a spot 2 hours early. Dinner and a show, in your pajamas if you want. And I want to describe what makes this view different, because it isn't about being close. You're a little further from the castle here than you would be at the resorts next door. What you get instead is the angle. This is the direction the show was designed to be seen from. The whole thing plays out straight in front of you, and all of it, the castle, the fireworks, the color, reflects off Seven Seas Lagoon while it happens. The camera does not do the reflection justice. It's just one of those views you have to stand in. Here's the observation I kept coming back to all stay, and I think it explains this entire resort. Most resort theming is something you look at, you admire it, photograph it, you pass through it on the way to somewhere else. The Polynesian is something you live inside. The music follows you, the scent follows you. You sit on that balcony and watch the resort boats circle while the Magic Kingdom ferries pass each other out on the lagoon, and it is genuinely mesmerizing. It's not a view, it's a place, and you're in it. And what surprised me is the tower doesn't break that spell. A brand new building, modern, lighter, taller than anything else here, and somehow you're still inside the same warm hug. You're just experiencing it from somewhere new, watching one of the busiest theme parks on the planet run from what feels like an island paradise. And this is the last resort stay in my Magic Kingdom resort series, which means the next video is the one all 4 of these stays have been building toward. Every resort in this series, side by side, to help you actually choose between them. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Now, the tower is the new story here, but I don't want to shortchange the village Atlantis landed on because the ground are the reason this resort has a 50-year fan club. The Great Ceremonial House is the heart of it. Shops, restaurants, and that lobby that has been welcoming people back since 1971. The longhouse is spread out from there through landscaping that is doing some serious work. Palms, torches, water everywhere you look. And then there's the beach, white sand, hammocks, and Cinderella Castle sitting right across the water. At night, the torches come on, the electrical water pageant floats by, and you can watch the fireworks from a beach chair with your toes in the sand. No park ticket required. This is what I mean when I say you live inside this place. The atmosphere doesn't stop at any particular door. Pool talk and a small honest reality from our stay. The lava pool is the big feature pool by the Great Ceremonial House, volcano slide and all. It was packed. Full summer week, wall-to-wall energy. The Cove pool sits right next to the tower, but during our stay, there was construction happening on the roof of Wailulu Bar and Grill next door, so the whole area came with a soundtrack of power tools. If you watched the Wilderness Lodge episode, you already know this speech. Disney lists refurbishment projects on their website well in advance. Check before you book. It didn't ruin anything for us, and here's why. This resort is big enough to route around a problem. We walked across the grounds to the Oasis pool on the far side of the property and had a quiet, calm, nearly empty pool afternoon while the lava pool was doing its best impression of a water park in July. And worth knowing for your planning, both the lava pool and the Oasis pool have pool bars right inside the pool enclosure. No need to leave the pool area. No tracking down a quick service window. At the Oasis, we had a server coming around, which was great while the crowd was low. As more people showed up, he got a little buried, but the bar is steps away across the pool deck, so ordering for yourself is easy. Either way, you're never far from a cold drink, and that is exactly the level of problem you want to have on a pool day. 3 pools, 3 completely different energies. That's not something every deluxe resort can offer, and it's exactly the kind of thing that makes this place feel less like a hotel and more like a village you get to wander. Let's talk food, because between Wailulu downstairs and the Great Ceremonial House across the way, tower guests are well covered. Wailulu Bar and Grill is right at the base of the tower, and it's just as good as it was when it opened. The Wayfinder burger is reliably great, and my sake spritz was refreshing and fruity without tipping over into sweet. If you're staying in the tower, Wailulu is going to become your default, and it's a good default to have. And a practical note for your mornings, Wailulu does breakfast too, but it's more of a grab-and-go situation. Muffins, pastries, specialty coffees, perfect for a quick start before the parks. If you want a real sit-down breakfast, that's a walk, and we'll get to that in a second. But here's the thing about right downstairs. Wailulu is the only thing right downstairs. The store, Kona Cafe, Captain Cook's, Ohana, Trader Sam, all of that lives in and around the Great Ceremonial House. And that is a genuine walk. We got a rainy afternoon on this trip because Florida, and there's no covered path and no quick rundown for waters and snacks. It's a small thing on a sunny day. It's a real thing in an afternoon storm. The next morning, we made that walk for breakfast at Kona Cafe, and Kona deserves the same praise I gave Grand Floridian Cafe in the last episode. It's reliably good, the prices are reasonable for what you get, and you can almost always actually get a reservation. Here's the thing though, not every Magic Kingdom resort has one of these workhorse restaurants. If you watched the Wilderness Lodge episode, you know that was one of my honest trade-offs there. The Polynesian has one, and it matters more than it gets credit for. And sitting at that breakfast is actually where this whole resort's central trade finally came into focus for me. The contrast between the tower and the Great Ceremonial House is palpable. Back in the tower, calm, quiet hallways, soft music, that feeling of being tucked away in your own quiet corner of the village. Here in the Great Ceremonial House, the gorgeous chaos of one of the busiest resort lobbies at Disney World. Character breakfast crowds, family staging for rope drop, vacation at full volume. The tower gives you a peaceful remove from all of that, but everything you need still lives in the middle of it. That's the trade. You get the escape, you commute to everything else. And if you want a deep dive on dining at this resort, I did a whole video on it. I'll link it below and in the pinned comment. One more thing worth knowing, because the tower sells itself on Exclusivity and mostly delivers it, but there's some fine print. Tower guests get exclusive access to 4 terrace gardens, each themed to a different island: Bora Bora, Hawaii, Samoa, and Fiji. They are beautiful, and the one on the Magic Kingdom side right by our room looked like the perfect place to take your morning coffee while the rest of your party sleeps in. I say looked like because I never got to test that theory. The terrace was unavailable both mornings of our stay. The first morning it was closed for cleaning. The second morning Disney was using it it to host a brand event. When I asked, a cast member told me they chose that space because it was the prettiest one with the best view, which to be fair is true. But if part of what you're paying for is access to that space, it's worth knowing Disney occasionally borrows it back. And a heads up to tower guests would have really gone a long way. Has anything like this happened on one of your trips? Tell me about it in the comments. I have a feeling I'm not the only one. Same spirit of honesty about extended evening hours at Magic Kingdom, which is a real perk of staying at any deluxe resort. We used it on this trip. We also left about 30 minutes in because it was July 4th week and the park was still packed. The perk is real. Peak weeks diluted. Plan accordingly. Transportation is one of the Polynesians' quiet superpowers, and it starts with options. You're on the Magic Kingdom monorail loop with a station right at the Great Ceremonial House. You can walk to the Transportation and Ticket Center, which puts the Epcot monorail closer to you here than it is from almost anywhere else at Disney World. And buses cover everything beyond the monorail loop. But if you have time, take the boat. The launch crosses Seven Seas Lagoon with the castle out in front of you the whole way, and it is a rare piece of Disney transportation that feels like part of the vacation instead of a way to get to it. One routing detail worth knowing, the Polynesian shares its launch with the Grand Floridian, and the Polynesian is the second stop on the route, which works in your favor heading to the park because from here the boat goes straight to the Magic Kingdom. Coming home, you'll make a stop at the Grand Floridian first, a few extra minutes on the water at the end of the night, which honestly is not much of a punishment. Pulling away from Magic Kingdom with the park lit up behind you, the lights moving on the water, nobody is rushing you. The boat does not do urgency, and after a full park day, that turns out to be exactly what you want. The honest fine print and the series regulars already know it. The boat is not your fastest option, and water transportation is always weather dependent. When Florida decides to have opinions, the launch stops running. So treat the boat like the treat it is and let the monorail be your workhorse. So, who should actually book the Island Tower? Start with this question. How much of your trip do you want to spend at your resort? Because this is a place that rewards being there. If your plan is rope drop to fireworks every single day and the room is just where you sleep, you may never be awake for the things that the Tower Premium is buying you. The terraces, the views, the balcony evenings, the pools, the wandering. A lot of what makes this place special happens between park hours. If you're two adults, the Duo Studio is one of the most interesting new rooms at Disney World, priced for exactly your party size. If you're a bigger group, the 1 and 2 bedroom villas finally make this resort possible in a way it simply wasn't before the tower existed. And if you need a 5th sleeper in a studio, the longhouses have you covered. And if the noise and motion of a big, busy, beloved resort sounds draining rather than energizing, the tower is honestly the answer to that too. It's the quiet end of the village. You visit the bustle when you want it, you ride the elevator away from it when you don't. Where the Grand Floridian calls to you to treat yourself and splurge a little, when you walk into the Polynesian, it makes me feel like I already did. And if that's the kind of resort experience you're looking for, where the resort itself can be the destination, I think you'd probably love this one like I do. Tell me in the comments, is the Island Tower calling to you, or does the classic Polynesian still have your heart? I want to know which side of this resort you'd book. And next time you see me, I'll be breaking down all the Magic Kingdom resorts into a side-by-side comparison guide to help you decide what kind of trip is best for your group. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the moment. A huge thank you to DVC Rental Store for sponsoring this series. The link to check rental pricing for stays like this one is in the description. And if you want to go deeper on the food at this resort, my full dining write-up is over at magicalmeanders.com. Thanks for meandering with me to Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, and I'll see you next time.